Right, before we look at part 1, I just quickly want to revise basic principles which we have covered in KoiKoi Ltd as well. I just want to make sure that you are familiar with these terms because we use them quite regularly. This is my timeline. Now, you will identify in the standards or learning units, we talk about initial, we talk about measurement, and we talk about recognition. I have also covered this in that fixed assets YouTube that I have shared with you. And then we talk about subsequent, and we talk about our measurement and our recognition. Now, if we look at initial, initial is the first day of this transaction. When we buy the asset, when we when we recognize our asset, when we recognize our liability, when we enter into that contract. Measurement will be how do we calculate the amount. Oh, sorry, calculate. I'm thinking about measurement. Calculate the amount. Recognition will be how do we journal the amount. Is this an asset or liability? Subsequent, if you look at the subsequent, will be our year end. For example, in this question, 31 December 20.11. Measurement again, how do we calculate, recognize, how do we journal? Then, if a requirement indicates to you that you need to present, what does this mean? This is to present the line item in your profit and loss and OCI, or in your statement of financial position, or your statement of changes in equity. If a requirement indicates you to disclose, this will be a note supporting the information in your P&L SFB statement of changes in equity, right? Disclose is a note to support. The only standard where you do not have to disclose is IAS 37 when there is a contingent liability or asset. Right, basic principles, be familiar with this, please. Now, if we look at part 1, required. 1, calculate. Look at this, calculate. Not present, not disclose, not journal, not discuss. Calculate the impairment loss, if any, of the YY patent in the books of KoiKoi Ltd for the year ended 31 December 20.11 according to the requirements of IAS 36 and IAS 38. Show all data input into your financial calculator. Show all calculations, round all amounts to your nearest rand. Now, what is your plan of action? Number 1, I will draft the principles. Or let me indicate here, principles, which I need to identify. I will write this down. Number 2, I will include my timeline. And number 3, I will perform my calculations as per the principles based on the information of my timeline. Therefore, if you look at this, I have my principles at the top. I've included my timeline at the bottom. On the right side, this will be 31 December 20.11. I need to calculate my impairment. Right. Now, to be able to do this, I will have to calculate my carrying amount and then my recoverable amount, right? Therefore, if I refer to the scenario in terms of this patent, purchased patent on 1 January 2005. Now, I'm going to make use of pink for you to be able to follow me. Therefore, on my timeline, at the bottom, this will be 1 January 2005. Therefore, year end, we will have our 20.05, we will have our 20.06, 20.07, 20.08, 20.09, 20.10, add then 20.11. This is my year ends, right? They've indicated to us that they've acquired the patent for the 2.8 million. We've identified that we're not sure to be capitalized the consulting and legal fees. Therefore, you refer to your revision page. You identify, have we mentioned anything in terms of our asset? We have our definition, recognition. Intangible asset shall only be recognized if, okay, you can work through this. Measurement in terms of the amount carried at cost less any accumulated amortization. We have a revalue method, which we don't actually use a lot. Our finite, our infinite useful life, impairment, disclosure. Okay, so guys, they don't provide us with a lot in terms of what do we capitalize, right? Do you see? Now, if we look at the standard, we will capitalize our consulting and our legal fees to our asset. Therefore, what does this mean? If you look at this at the bottom, we have our 2.8 million plus the 23,000 plus the 47,000. And this, which is 2870, will be our cost. Right. Okay, next. Our useful life will be the 10 years with no residual value. Therefore, if we now look at our steps, step number 1, we need to calculate our carrying amount. Step 2, we need to calculate our fair value less cost to sell. Step 3, our value in use. Step 4, determine the highest between step 2 and 3. Therefore, if you now look at our timeline, we need to determine the carrying amount at the end of 20.10. Therefore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years has passed, and then year number 7. Therefore, the remaining portion will be 10 years minus 7, and this will be 3 years. Therefore, if you now look at the solution, they indicate to us here, we have our cost, which is the 2870,000. Divide this by the 10 years times 6, right? If you look at our timeline, this will now be from 1 January 2005 to year end 2010. And this will be an accumulated amortization amount of 1,722,000. Then the depreciation for 20.11. Again, our cost, 2870,000. Divide this by 10, and this will be 287,000. And our carrying amount, as per step number 1, before impairment, will be 286,100,000. Right, next, step number 2. When you look at our principles, remember, we now need to calculate our fair value less cost to sell. Therefore, if we look at the information, the middle paragraph is just a bit of background in terms of the indication. Third paragraph. On 31 December 2011, the fair value of the patent was estimated to be 850,000 minus our 60,000. Therefore, fair value 850 minus 60,000, which is our step number 2. Look at the left side, please. Fair value less cost to sell, 800,000 minus 60,000, and this will be 790,000. Step number 3, we need to calculate our, you look at our principle, our value in use. How do we do this? We need to identify what is our cash flow, obtain our discount rate pre-tax, and then calculate our net present value. Therefore, if we look at the information provided, they've indicated to us the net cash inflows will be 320,000 for the year ended 31 December 2012. Future net cash flows will increase with 10% annually until 31 December 2014. Therefore, if you had to identify this, guys, now you need to know your calculator. I have a shop, I can help you with the shop, but I don't have an HP, therefore I won't be able to help you with your HP. Now, if we now look at this, for 20.12, the indicator as the cash flows will be 320,000. For 20.13, 20.14, this will be 300,000 plus 10%. 2014 will be the 2013 plus 10%. Now, normally, okay guys, look at this. They provide us with a cash flow on 31 December 20.12. But if you are standing on your timeline, this is me, I'm standing here. But they provide me with a 20.12 amount. If you look at this, on 31 December, this is year 0. And this will be 0. Therefore, in our calculation, if you look at the left side, our value in use calculation, our cash flow for year 0 is 0. You have to include this in your calculator. I know with my shop I have to. Year 1 is the 320,000. Year 2 is the 320 plus 10%. Year 3 is my amount of year 2, 352,000 plus 10%. And they've indicated to me my discount rate, this is normally provided in the additional information at the bottom, is 15%. Press compute, and this will be my net present value, 799,014. Therefore, in terms of my step number 4, and I'm going to write this here, guys. Step number 4, we need to identify the highest, and this will be our 799,014. Therefore, our carrying amount minus our recoverable amount, and we will recognize an impairment loss of 61,986. Remember, our asset will decrease. Therefore, if you had to include your journal, we would have debited our impairment loss. Please write this out, no abbreviations, in your profit and loss. Credit our intangible asset, which is the patent, and our statement of financial position with a 61,986.